you.
I'm a little
What?
embarrassed.
Hello. 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 Every Rush song.
Here's a little trap that sometimes trips up everyone when we tire of our own company. We're not tiring of our own company now because we're going to discuss the Rush song, How It Is.
And how it's going to be.
And how it's going to be. It's such a cloudy day.
And
And the fade. Man, I love this song. It's like a happy, catchy song.
It reminds me, it reminds me of something like from the 80s, like one of those like I don't know, not so much maybe REM because they're not super happy. You know, the
happy people.
well actually that would, but yeah,
Actually-
kind of the happy poppy.
actually, with it not being so rocky driving,
How you doing, everyone?
the lyrics right there could be the great lyrics for a 1980s family TV sitcom.
Oh, play that again. Let's see.
So the part where it goes about with the I'm just stalling while I find it. Oh, you know what? That was on the it was on the original, but that's okay. We like it. Oops. I have a little volume. You want to hear it like we can hear it?
And that would have been a perfect title for a 1980s family sitcom.
How it is.
How it is.
Yeah.
That's right.
You know what? You're not wrong. You're right this time.
Yes.
Let's
Starring
mark that.
Bill
What is the date?
Cosby, Alan Alda.
Well,
We're talking about
He-
1980s. We
Oh.
didn't know that stuff was going
Oh.
on back then.
It's true.
all
That's
right.
true.
I'll see your Bill Cosby and I'll raise you Alan Thicke.
Ooh, Alan Thicke.
Alan
Yes.
Thicke would be good. And then the guy from Growing Pains, the father on Growing Pains. What was his name?
Oh,
That was Alan Thicke.
No, that's Family Ties.
No, Alan
Yes.
Thicke was yes.
Alan Thicke was Family Ties.
No, he wasn't.
as long as
Growing-
Candace Cameron's on it, I don't care who else is there.
Oh no, you're right. Right, I
was-
got him. Yeah,
what did you say?
What?
You are right, Jay.
How did that taste coming out of your mouth?
Lovely. It's like cinnamon. Right. Growing
Cinnamon.
Pains was the other guy that had
Yeah.
Michael J. Fox.
Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, Growing Pains was Alan Thicke, and then Family Ties was, I forgot that guy. Michael Gross.
Yes, Michael Gross.
Yeah.
Nice,
Yes.
Jay.
Oh,
And
thank you.
Jay.
And guess what both shows had in common? Pretty hot blonde mothers.
That's true.
Yes. Yes.
Meredith Baxter.
Yes. Meredith Baxter and then the other chick.
Other chick.
Was it Joanna Kearns?
I'd like
Yes.
to apologize.
Yes.
Joanna Kearns.
We don't
Yes.
know.
Why do I
Jay is
know
on
this?
fire.
Don't ask
Jay.
me any Rush questions.
See,
Jay's
see,
bringing
that-
it tonight.
that is the greatness of the Every Rush Song podcast. Not only
Not sure about that.
do you get information about the world's favorite Canadian power trio, but you get a little bit of side information of just random stuff.
That's what
Yeah.
happens. That's what we do. This is what we do for you.
Making your way in the world today takes
Takes everything
everything you got. Something
Taking
and
a
something
break
and
from
it's
all
all
your
your
worries
worries
sure
would
would
help
help
a
a
lot.
lot.
Would be
Would you
like
like to get
it
away?
dun, dun, dun,
Sometimes
So
you
you
wanna
gotta go
go
where everybody
Everybody
knows
knows your
me.
name. Da,
Boom,
da,
boom,
da.
boom, boom. And it's always no, and they're
And they're
always glad
always
you
glad you
came.
came.
You want to
Someone,
be sorry.
someone on songmeanings.com said this about how it is. I want your thoughts. Quote, I'm using air quotes because I can. This is also the darkest work that Neil has produced to date.
Well, that makes a lot of sense since it's so upbeat.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess maybe it depends on your outlook, but maybe to some people, this is how it is. That's how it's going to, maybe they're like, oh, well, this sucks if that's how it is. I guess I could see that perspective maybe, but I don't
It's
know. I do
between
not get
how
that
it
from the
is and
song.
how it ought to be. Yeah.
Well, yeah,
I don't get that from the song.
everybody's got their own viewpoint on how it ought to be, but the realization is this is how it is.
Yeah. You can't change his.
That change is it really what it is? That's what I want to know.
That's
Is
a
it?
good question.
Thank you. Thank you. I didn't mean to make your ears bleed, Tim. My bad.
Me, that's nice. That's the one that's you can no longer see. We're here. What it? We are no longer the knights who say me. No. We are now the knights who say icky patang. Oh man.
Do we need to do it? We should do a Monty Python. This is the second in a row we've had Monty Python references.
Every Python sketch.
All right, here are my notes on this
Okay.
song. I think it's a nice
ACE.
It's a nice Buddhist-like song. It paints a
Mhm.
realistic picture of life. I don't think it's dark or bleak. I think it's well balanced between pleasure and suffering, just like life. The first verse is the trap of when things are going well, and we think that they're always going to go well. And then the second verse is the trap of when things are going poorly, and we think that things are always going to be poorly. And I would suggest that how it ought to be isn't that life should be how we want it to be, but how it ought to be is that we should keep in mind that life is always going to have its ups and downs. When things are going well, just kind of know eventually things aren't going to go as well. And when things are going awful in your life, like mine have been since 2020, then things are eventually going to get better. And you'll look back and think, wow, that was a rough time. I'm glad I'm over it.
I don't know where I'm getting this from,
Okay.
but I think this sums up what you're talking about very well. Changes aren't permanent, but change is. And I don't know where I drew that from.
I don't know where that came from.
Maybe I'm a
No.
genius.
Maybe not. You know what I think?
Maybe you're having a stroke. I mean, it could be it could be anything, really.
Jay, I think you know what I think it is? He's not concerned with yesterday. He knows constant change is here to stay.
So seriously, do you know where that came from? Because that's good. That's very apropos.
That's where did that apropos come from?
I believe they were.
He's not going to play along, is he?
I
Okay.
believe they were in an Indian tribe here in Texas to Oklahoma to New Mexico.
That'd be Native American, Tim.
It was Apache, I think.
Oh, sorry, Apache. Yeah. Apropos.
Ladies and
Hey,
gentlemen, we
wait
hope
a
you're
second.
enjoying.
I
Wait a
get
second.
it. I get
Here-
it. Now it all
wait
comes
a
back.
second.
Okay.
Here's
I
you
didn't.
calling a hoe.
Here's you calling a
Uh,
So the line between how it is and how it ought to be,
yes, Jay.
you're in the middle of that. How it is, how it ought to be. You can't change
Ooh.
how it is, but you can change how it ought to be. No, you can't change the past, you can't change the future, but you can change yourself. And maybe the future will be a little bit better.
And maybe once a week you'll change your underwear too. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, from the Northeast.
But no, Jay, I think you're correct because this song made me think of two things. One, impermanence, because it's going to change, it's going to get better, it's going to get
Eventually,
worse.
we're all going to have to wear Depends. Yes, and
And
permanent.
the other thing reminds me of another Monty Python skit. Anyway, the other thing is expectations, and you said, Jay, that you can change how it ought to be, and you can by managing your expectations. That's
Exactly.
Have you ever heard that? What is it? It's like the formula for happiness, where happiness equals reality minus expectations. You ever heard that?
Yeah.
Oh, are we going into math again?
I think
Come on.
I think Homer said it best and Homer said, "If at first you don't succeed, never try again."
Never
Yeah.
try. What have I learned, Maggie? Never try.
Never try. No, yes. I think that you have the ability to keep an attitude. Look, you're not going to be able to keep bad things from happening. They're going to happen. It's how you handle it. You either handle it or you don't. But it's going to happen. It's just how it is.
It's how it's going to be.
It's how it's going to be.
And I did do some comparisons between the verses, the first verse and the second verse, where the lines are kind of similar but a little different, that I think show the balance between positive and negative, dark and bleak, depressing and happy.
Good and evil.
Perhaps
Bass and guitar.
Yingling and Coors.
Snuff.
And if you want to hear those, I will be happy to share those
Beer.
with you.
Beer.
Not snuff.
No.
I thought you quit. But my last line to those notes, one of the tenets of Buddhism is that pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. And I think this song suggests that we be mindful of that.
Yeah, I'm with you, Shane. I don't think this is either a sad song or a happy song. It's about balance. It's and even the music and the lyrics. You think about it, the music is upbeat and happy. The lyrics are sometimes depressing, but pretty even. So, it's kind of the music's saying, "Hey, man," and then the lyrics are saying, "Hey, what's up?" Do you agree?
I agree. I was sort of getting hypnotized by space guitar appearing and disappearing. If that's what you were doing, that was working.
Hey, man.
What's up?
All right. So the first verse is when today's as far as we can see. Second verse, when we tire of our own company. First verse, things are going well so that you don't really think about the future, a future when life won't be as good. And the second verse, we tire of our own company. To me, that kind of sounds like depression. If you're frustrated, you're depressed, you don't even like yourself anymore. And then the verse goes on to describe that we can't see that things will eventually get better.
Right. You're too caught up in your own depression to see that things aren't always going to be so desperate. I like the line. I have one minor issue with a lyric of this song. It's in verse 1. and verse 2. Yeah, it's in verse 1 and verse 2. It's the first line. Here's a little trap. I think it should be, it's a trap. Because Star Wars. Thoughts?
I appreciate your
every
Star Wars reference, Jay. It's a trap.
just when I see
Who
that
was this?
though, but when I saw that line, the first thing I thought of was like I don't know, Akbar, General Akbar. And it's a
It's a
trap.
trap.
Yeah.
Not to be
Then I
confused with
fast
Skandar
forward to a
Akbar
crawfish
from
boil I went to, and I remember, my God, I just ate Akbar. He was tasty.
Talk about a trap.
Yeah.
Next line of each verse, faith in bright tomorrows given way to resignation. Sometimes we're the last to see beyond the day's frustrations. Love the way he mixes it up. First verse, faith that everything will always be great, be awesome, will lead to disappointment, resignation. Tim's about to explode. In the second verse, you can see past how the bright, you can't see past how how bad the present is to realize that things will eventually balance out and the future will be better. Can't see beyond the day's frustration. But then he brings it all back, brings it home, wraps it up with that's how it is, how it's going to be.
I
So
like
then
the
I wonder.
bridge.
Tell us what do you like about the bridge?
It says, foot upon the stair, shoulder to the wheel. You can't tell yourself not to care. You can't tell yourself how to feel. That's how it is. That's how it is. Don't bother me, son. You bother me.
I don't really get the foot on the stair, shoulder to the wheel part.
It's like,
Is it like labor versus an ascension, or
Shoulder to the wheel. You're just all clenched up
you're bearing down, you're
Oh,
going.
and you're
like
bearing down. So you're
this.
so close that your shoulder is
Oh.
almost touching the wheel.
Foot on the stair, you're making a move.
All right. Now,
Right.
see, I was picturing, I guess, kind of like what's the guy from mythology?
A pirate?
Like
No.
I was picturing
Thor.
this giant wheel, and this guy was trying to push this big wheel. I wasn't thinking about like leaning in, gripping the steering wheel.
Yeah,
Thanks,
man.
Tim. Thanks, y'all.
Or in this case,
Different
the
wheel.
motorcycle. Right.
Ooh,
But they don't use wheels.
Well, they have
Steering.
wheels though.
motorcycles. No? Just
But-
follow your front wheel, Tim. Oh,
I
that's
think he's
right. You
using-
didn't read the book.
That's okay. I'll read it to you sometime.
Yeah, and Jay, in fact, I had that as my favorite line. You can't tell yourself not to care. You can't,
And you
tell,
can't tell
yourself
yourself how to feel.
how to feel.
Yeah.
You can try. I think you can do meditation, or
Yeah.
what's it called when you try to tell yourself those lines where you try to tell yourself something.
Oh,
Is that true?
Self-edification.
self-development. No,
Apropos affirmations.
affirmation. Yes.
Yeah.
Self-affirmation.
Yeah, you can
self-medication.
try.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I think Neil is right. You can't really tell yourself not to care. It's an emotion.
Yeah.
It's chemical. It bubbles up like this.
Another cloudy day seems we'll never see the sun or feel the day of has possibilities frozen in the moment, the lack of imagination between how it is and how it ought to be.
And I like how in the first verse, it's frozen in the moment. And in the second verse, burning in the moment.
Yeah.
You notice that?
I didn't
First,
notice that.
frozen in the moment, the lack of imagination between how it is and how it's ought to be. How it's going to be. Second verse, burning in the moment, trapped by the desperation.
Interesting. And then it goes back to frozen in the moment. What do you suppose
Then
that
back to
could mean?
frozen. I'm glad you asked, Jay, because that was the last part of my notes.
See?
Very well done. And I didn't even
Thank
share
you.
them with you. First verse, frozen in the moment, too caught up in the present to be able to imagine that things will not just go. I mean, it's the same thing over and over again. Second verse, burning in the moment, suffering because the present isn't going well. So you feel trapped by the desperation. You feel so trapped that you don't realize that things will eventually get better. And then my next line, to repeat what I said earlier, the Buddhist tenet is that pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. Back to you, Tim, with sports.
In hockey today,
which was actually 2 months ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think like we said at the beginning, I
Or
love the chorus.
was it?
Good point.
Maybe. Hope so. Love the chorus. It's catchy, even though it's funny with on Counterparts when it gets to Nobody's Hero. And you've got the 3 just rockin', driving songs, and then it gets to Nobody's Hero with the acoustic part. And I'm always kind of, I want to go back to the rockin' stuff. But here, there's a lot of it heavy, focuses on the acoustic guitar, a lot of acoustic guitar on this song. I don't know why. I just love, it was one of the, listening to Vapor Trails the first few times, How It Is was the first song to stick out as the one that I really liked. And it's because of that chorus. And even though later in his career, and Geddy's voice still sounds terrific.
He does in this one, yeah.
Even though it's got the high parts.
Well, he was sounding good. I mean, he even sounded good on the last album, but he just live, it's just hard to do that, especially if you're now. I don't know if they did the half step thing that a lot of artists do. I doubt that. Maybe that would help, but as high as he had to sing, I don't think there's any getting around that, he has to think of new ways to do it because nobody can sing that high that long without doing some damage.
Just ask Rob Halford.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, see, in Michael Sweet with Stryper they started a few years ago, they started taking everything down a half step. And he goes, and it's so much easier to sing it. He goes, and I can save my voice a little bit.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And also remember there was 5 years
Yeah.
between Test for Echo and Vapor Trails, and Geddy had done a solo album, but
My
Rush
favorite
was not
headache.
doing anything. So, I mean, he might have been singing in the car and
Sure.
around the house and stuff like that. So,
But not a tour.
but
every
Yeah.
night for
and
3
not a
hours.
tour going on, but even like somebody like Michael Sweet, he on even their new material, he is doing some very sweet, high pitched,
Oh yeah.
screams.
Absolutely.
But guess what? You're not hearing it in concert.
Yeah.
He stays away from 90% of them.
Well, I read that in his recent, I want to say it was the Dallas show, he mentioned he was disappointed that he was having some issues hitting some notes because
Yeah, I mean, because I was at that show,
yeah.
and
But good Lord, man, you can't hit them all.
you can't hit them all. But even on the older songs, like "To Hell with the Devil" and "Soldiers,"
Yeah.
you would think that maybe, but he didn't do it.
Yeah.
He didn't do it. So
Well, I also remember that in the few times I've seen him, I've seen him several times, but a few times when I've seen him, at least once, Oz Fox would step in on the lead
Yeah.
vocal, and he could step. I don't know how his vocal is live, if it's still as good as it was, but that guy, he could hit some notes.
Their vocals were that they were very good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're
It's like Gabriel Jacobs that used to sing for Marseille with his new band. He can still hit all those high notes.
exactly.
Yeah.
Shout out to Gabriel. Shout out.
Shout out.
Isn't
Well,
he
speaking
in a
of
cover
that,
band?
Yeah.
A Journey cover band?
Yeah. Yeah.
But they
That's
do
pretty
more
darn
than
cool.
Journey.
They
But
do other stuff. Dio. They do Rush.
no,
Well, speaking of this, Tim, what do you think of the live version of How It Is off of R40?
yeah,
Because he
it was,
struggles a little bit on that.
yeah, it'd been a few
That-
years.
I mean, that's
And-
okay.
And unless they did it at the first part of the Vapor Trails tour, they did not do it when they first came to Dallas. And they came to Dallas twice on that tour. And How It Is was not in the set list. So, that was the first time. And in fact, I want to say that he did, this is a song we never did before, but we decided to bring this one out, and yeah, they did it. I'm okay, that's really cool, but there was a couple of other songs that I wish they would have done off of Vapor Trails during,
Yeah.
I mean, I would love for them to have brought Earthshine back or do Sweet Miracle, which they never did live. But
That's how it
because
is,
those
Tim.
2 songs are in my top 5. Yeah.
Well, that's how it ought to be, but that's how
But
it is.
but
Yeah, Tim, stop
because
torturing yourself.
because that's how it was, I was fine with it.
Huh?
But I'm also thinking of how it ought to be.
How it could have
Oh.
been.
Oh,
Right.
what
Word.
is and what will never
Yeah.
be.
Right.
Well, I like on that live recording, the bass in the intro, and I just happen to have that queued up for your ears to listen
No,
to.
no
I
way.
do. Yes. This is
Wow.
the live version. After the intro, when they say we dug this one up from rehearsal, I hadn't played it in a while. And I love this bass line over the guitar. Will it play? I love that. Do do do.
Yeah.
And
That's so cool.
and what did Neil give us a little bit of right there?
Tell us, Tim. Tell us.
La Vila.
Really?
Really?
Play it
Dun,
again.
Oh,
dun,
that bump,
dun.
bump, bump. You're
Yep.
right. You're right.
Mm.
I'm getting back there. It takes a long time to drag that little ball back to the 20-second mark.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, okay.
Very cool.
Boom, 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 boom.
Also pretty, I've listened to this over and over and over again past several days. That's trying to find those other parts of the song to point out. But I mean, it's kind of, I don't want to say basic, but there's not really any recording tricks or super cool licks that jumped out at me.
It's a
Just a
decent
great
little
song.
song. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this
Yeah,
is a
it's-
song that it'd be hard to sing, but
Yeah.
we could pick up a guitar and, and do a nice acoustic version.
If there's
Yeah.
something, if there's anything known to of a Rush song that could be known as mellow, I would say this would be it. This is pretty mellow,
This would
but
have been
mellow but happy. Just it's very poppy. I could hear it on the radio.
yeah. I could imagine the Durango brothers bringing along their little cousin Filbert, who
Mhm.
was playing congas,
Oh yeah, I
and
remember
we
that.
could have done a
Right.
little, or that
We still can.
wonderful night up in
Didn't?
Didn't?
Broken Bow, Oklahoma.
Oh yes,
that would
The
have been
night,
a great time
the
to play
night
it.
on the porch. Yes,
yes, that would have been great.
yes,
That
that
would've been
would have been
great.
awesome.
Oh, we'll work it up for next time.
There we go.
We will. Oh, cool. Yeah. And Jay, my favorite lyrics were, I guess, the same as yours: the frozen in the moment and then the burning in the moment, trapped by desperation.
There we go.
We have that in common. Well, there it is. How it is. Let us know what you think about How It Is. 2112 at everyrushsong.com is the email address, and on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook at Every Rush Song. Tim, take us home.
Thank you very kindly. Broken Bow, Oklahoma. We love you. Good night. Which, of course, Rush never said we love you. I don't know why I keep throwing that in.
They didn't? Well, you know, I think it was
Oh.
implied.
I think it was implied, but he
Yeah.
never said we love you.
It's
Yeah.
implied. Tim more explicitly loves you,
Yeah.
as do Jay,
Right.
and as do I.
Yes. But not too explicit. Just
Yes.
just the for a friend explicit type. As a
yeah.
friend.
I want to know, how come you two keep getting the cute little funny sayings or whatever for your names, but for this episode and the last one, it's just T. McComas.
Well, you know you can change your own name.
I don't know how to do that.